Welcome back, amazing business owners, to another episode of Business Straight Up, the podcast and place to be for creative business owners, photographers, and basically anyone who wants to actually make a living doing what they love. I'm so excited to have you here today. I have an amazing interview with a guest who is an awesome businesswoman. She works with business owners that want to live more intentionally. And I know that sometimes we feel overwhelmed, right? We just let life take us and we let things happen the way that they're going to happen. And that can be really, really draining. I know sometimes I feel like there has to be more. And my students have told me this as well. When I was feeling this way, I changed to be more deliberate with my time. And that's exactly what Carla Reeves does. She works with business owners to be intentional with your time and your energy and everything else that goes into your everyday life. There are so many things that we can put into place to really make our energy a priority. Because when our energy is a priority, we can serve everyone in our lives a little better. Whether it's your business or your family or your kids or anyone else, they deserve your best, right? So when you love them, they deserve your best. But you cannot be your best if you're not taking care of yourself first. Carla and I are going to talk all about that today. I'm so glad you're here. As always, if you have any questions or need to reach out, you can do so on Instagram at Business Straight Up or in the Facebook group at businessstraightup.com/community. I really want to help you grow your business. This is not just something I say. I know that when women have more time, more money, and more energy, that they bless the people around them with more as well. It is super important to me that we make this happen. Carla is going to help us with our energy and taking care of ourselves and being willing to live a little bit bigger than what we're used to. Let's dive into her episode and listen to Carla's advice. Hey there, awesome people. I am Brooke Summer, and you are listening to Business Straight Up, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs to learn, connect, grow, and build the business and life that they dream of. Welcome, let's get going and dive right in. Hello, amazing business owners, creatives, photographers. Welcome to another episode of Business Straight Up, the podcast for creative business owners who want to actually make a living doing what they love. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's guest is amazing businesswoman who helps people to live more intentionally, which may not sound like a big deal when it comes to business, but I can tell you from personal experience that really deciding to be intentional and deliberate with your time and energy is a total game changer. Carla Reeves is a wife, mom of 2 boys, coach, consultant, mentor, and passionate about squeezing the juice out of everyday life. Her life's work is working with people who are ambitious for a different kind of more. Thank you so much for being here today, Carla.
Oh, so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am excited too. I know that I personally know a little bit more about your backstory and your why, but can you share with listeners a little more about who you are, what brought you to where you're at, and what your journey has looked like?
Yes, I always say I never set out to be a coach. Coaching really found me. It happened. I worked in corporate America for 10 plus years and left to have my first son and had dreamed of being a mom. He was 8 months old, and I started feeling like I was going a little stir crazy and noticing around me that there were a lot of moms that were quite miserable, honestly. And I felt myself kind of losing a little bit of my sanity. And I knew I didn't want to be a miserable mom. And I sort of felt this calling to start writing and figure out how I could be a happy mom, because I felt like if I could give my kids that gift, like that would be a really great gift and permission in their own life to find happiness. And I wrote and wrote and wrote. And in the process of that writing, I really figured out how to be a happy mom. But on top of that, I was reading back one day over my notes and really realized that so much had happened on the pages of my journal. And not only had it been a process of self-acceptance, but clarity about what I wanted in my life, clarity around my spirituality and discovery of my creativity, just on and on and on, so many things. And in that moment, I thought, I'm here to help people learn to use journaling or writing as a tool for navigating their life and kind of tapping into their inner wisdom. And so I started a company called Sanity Journals, which led me to coaching, a company that I did some speaking, creating some self-guided journals that I sold. And they had read an article about it and reached out to me and said, hey, you're passionate about journaling, and so are we. They had an online coaching platform. I ended up working for them for a little bit and went to the president one day and said, I want to grow my business, but I don't know what to do. Would you mentor me? And she said, I think you know what to do. I think you should go through our coaching program. And so I did. Coaching was amazing, but I fell in love with this idea of marrying a coach and a journal to really help people change their lives. That was 10 plus years ago. I coached on their team for a number of years and then went out on my own about 5 years ago.
Nice. I think I struggle with journaling because my brain, like I sit down with a journal prompt and I'm all in and I'm ready to go. And then my brain is like, oh yeah, you forgot to move the laundry from the washer to the dryer. Oh wait, you need to take pork chops out for tomorrow. Like it's just hard to stay focused. So I am so in admiration of people who are really, really good at journaling, because once I get going, I'm good. But man, at first it's hard to get down into the nitty gritty and get focused.
Yeah, like anything, right?
I wanted to kind of go back to something that you said about encouraging your children to have permission to find happiness. And I feel like that's something that we as parents can share with our kids when it comes to being deliberate. Like, how do we look at our lives and say, I really don't want to do this. And because I'm an adult and I'm a human, I can choose to do something else. Because we have this idea that once we make a decision, we're so stuck in it, right? And I think it's really important to encourage our kids to know that they can change their minds, that they can design their lives. What does that look like for you? And I know you have older boys now. How have you seen that kind of take root in their lives?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that so often with parents, and I experience this myself and in people that I coach, is that we want to help our kids' lives and help them make great choices and kind of steer them in a direction. But honestly, I think the greatest impact we have on our kids is the way that we manage and navigate our own lives. And I always tell clients when they're thinking about coaching that they're like, well, how can I get these tools for my kids? And I always say, like, what the work you do in your own life, it downloads to your kids without you doing anything, because your example and they're watching you. They're watching you more than they're listening to what you tell them to do.
Yeah.
And so if you can model that in your own life, I think it does ripple. As far as our boys, we're really seeing now that they're 16 and 18, we've kind of brought them up in this world of really mindset and knowing that your thinking has a huge impact on your reality and the way you experience life, and that you have choice and that your choices have consequences, that really giving them a lot of freedom to make their own choices. I think that's how they learn. And now that they're older, we're really starting to see that. For a long time as a parent, you think that everything you're doing and saying, you're like, is it really working?
Oh my gosh. Every
Are
day.
they getting it?
Every day. Yeah.
But I think now that they're older, we're really starting to see, like, oh my gosh, they really did get it.
Yeah.
And the way that we were talking the other day, my husband and I, that we really can see their resiliency this past year. Yes, it downloads to your kids. Do the work in your own life.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually wrote it down, but I wasn't able to go fast enough. But we'll absolutely pull that quote from you, because it was something like, the greatest impact we have for our kids is taking care of our own lives. Like, how do we learn to make those choices and to say, you know what, that family member makes me really uncomfortable. Maybe we don't invite them to that barbecue, and that's okay. And setting those boundaries and listening to what we know, because we discount it so often.
We discount it so often. And I think you see that in your work, right? And I see that in my work,
Oh,
is that I think that's one of the greatest areas of opportunity for women and men, but is kind of discounting that inner voice and that inner knowing. Yeah, because you're right. We do know.
We know.
It's all the other stuff that gets in the way. That's what I always tell people. They're so much clearer than they realize. They have more clarity than they realize. We just have to pull away all the other stuff that interrupts that.
Yes. I asked you what tools and techniques have really helped in your business, and you said coaching to get out of your own way and stretch your own thinking. And I could not agree more. We seem to have this idea that there are outside things and circumstances that hold us back, when really it's usually ourselves and our own beliefs. And we just latch onto those things. What beliefs or stories were you holding on to that have held you back in the past, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, such a good question. Gosh, there have been so many over the
I
years.
know. Let me break out the list.
Yeah, can I get the book out? Well, they're never done, right? So I think they're evolving and changing, and it sort of happens in layers. But for me, gosh, I feel like I built my business very quietly
Mhm.
because I struggled with confidence for
Mhm.
years and years and years and years. To think that I just shared with you that I launched a podcast, and that was such a huge part in my journey of having the confidence to do that and to really share my ideas, and that the work I've been doing for years. But it wasn't always that way. And I had to always keep challenging these thoughts of, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not bright enough, or talented enough, or who am I to do this? And to really challenging that thinking over and over and over again, sort of disarming where that started and where that came from, so that it doesn't run my life today. So yeah, those were the stories that, who am I to do any of this stuff?
Right? Oh my gosh. I feel like we all have something blank enough. We're not blank enough. No matter what it is, we can put in whatever we want. Pretty enough,
Yes.
smart enough, all of those things. I love hearing how you got past that. I think that it's so important to recognize that not only are these stories that, while we can't control the circumstances that may have started them, we can control whether we let them run our lives now.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh
That's
my God.
exactly right.
I
It's
love
you can't change what happened or what caused them, but you can change what you made that mean about you, because you created that.
Yes.
You can go back and really change that and challenge that to give you a
Yes.
mobility today.
Absolutely. I know that you worked with another coach for 6 years, and I feel like this type of apprenticeship of education is so often overlooked now. People have this idea of leap in the net will appear, which is great, but there's also so much that can be learned from someone who has been there, someone who has walked the walk before you. It's crazy valuable. What are some of the things you learned while working with someone else before creating your own brand?
Oh my gosh. I started coaching with them, and I had already had my own business. So I didn't have the desire to go back out under my own brand. I didn't have a vision of doing that. I didn't know that I would do that. At the time, I was just learning and kind of soaking up all that information and really learning the inside of the business, but not knowing what I would use that for later. But oh my gosh, I learned so much from this woman. She was an incredible mentor. She runs a coaching company called Frame of Mind Coaching. And she was the first person that told me, don't believe everything you think. And
Oh, yes.
that was just so liberating. You mean I don't
Yes.
have to believe everything, all this noise in my head, but there's so much that she taught me and so much I learned in watching that business for 6 years, right? But some of the very unique things I learned was I remember going away for, it was like a conference where we would set up a booth, a
Mhm.
table, and I was going to represent the company. I traveled and was staying overnight and setting up my booth and talking to people about coaching.
Mhm.
And I had never done this. And so I was really nervous. And I remember calling her the day before and I said, do you have any last minute advice? What should I do to prepare? And I'm thinking, I need to get out my notes and study more and whatever, right? Make sure I have my communication down, messaging down. And she said, take a bath, get really good sleep, and take really good care of yourself so you feel amazing. And
Yes.
like, I was just kind of stunned at that time in my life because I thought, oh my gosh, She's so right, because who you're being and your energy has far greater impact than anything I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And that advice, just, I carried that with me always because it was so perfect.
And how many of us don't pay attention to that at all? When you're frazzled, when you're freaking out about something, when you're uncomfortable, it will show. And if it doesn't show visibly, it will be felt.
Yeah.
That's so valuable.
Yes, that's one piece. Isn't another that just top of mind, but there were so many. It's like just watching her business and how she did things. And I think not only did I learn how she did it and the great ways that she was doing it, but then it also informed when I did feel that inner nudge that it was time to leave that company and go out on my own, which terrified me because I didn't have a vision of that. But I knew inside that I had to leave, even though it was a great thing. But I think it also informed, like, helped me. It gave me a foundation from which I could then create something that I really wanted to create and was inspired to create. And how would I do that differently and like that?
Nice. I think it also gives us the idea of what we don't want to do. Like, not that it's wrong or bad. It's just that when you're the boss, you make the rules. When you're the person in business, you get to decide how you run your business or not.
That's exactly right.
One of the things that you've said is that the journey and experience of moving towards your goals can be so rich. And I know that so many of my students hear the word rich and immediately clam up because of money blocks or other beliefs about money. But the word rich doesn't have to just mean money. So, what does living and experiencing a rich life and journey look like for you?
Yeah. Gosh, it's really about fulfillment. It's really about, for me, about being content, being grounded, feeling in alignment. I use that word a lot, but it's really about, for so many years, I lived out of alignment, meaning that I was trying to check the boxes of what I thought made up a successful life and pleasing everybody else. And I was a master at making everything out here look good, but inside I was empty. And today that means, really creating a business where I can feel in alignment with myself and my goals and have a business that really fuels not only great business and great, deep, remarkable impact for people, but also a really flexible, spacious lifestyle that I love, where my boys are older now, but where I could be available to be with my family and be the mom that could pop in the class or pick them up from school or go to lunch with my husband, or like those things are all really, really important to me too. Or taking a yoga class or really building something that fueled all of that and had really deep impact in people's lives. That's what the vision has been for me. And that's what makes it rich.
Yes, that's so true. It's different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like, for some people, it might be family. And for some people, maybe they choose not to have children. It means travel, or it means working with dogs and adopting a ton of pets. It's different for everyone. And
Yes.
that's the beauty of running your own business, is that you can decide what that alignment looks like because you're not beholden to someone else's vision.
That's right.
Oh, I love that. I work with so many business owners and photographers that are spinning their wheels and they're overwhelmed with what to pick in this sea of so many things to learn and do in their businesses. What are 3 tips that you have for them to start being more intentional about their time and energy in their business?
Yes, for years, I remember feeling that way, just feeling that overwhelm of like, you want to grow your business and there's so many ways to do it. And there's so many people telling you their way is the way. And I went down all those different tunnels and just felt so scattered and I was trying to do too many things and not doing anything really well. Choosing just a few things to do really, really well is one piece. For me, it's like I love creating. I could go down 10 different holes creating different things and never get anything done. And one of the best decisions I ever made in my business was you're laughing like you get it.
Like, you can see it behind me, right?
Yeah. So one of the best decisions was really choosing to channel my creativity deeper instead of broader, and always have a place to put those ideas so that they have like a parking lot
Yeah.
but that I choose a few to really dig in on. Yeah,
Okay. Do you use that word parking lot for ideas?
I do.
I do too. Where did you get it? Because I
I
can't
have no
remember.
idea.
I totally can't remember. I want to say it was Todd Herman, but then I went back
That's
and I
funny.
don't see it. I actually have a whiteboarded post-it notes in like the parking lot because
That's funny.
when you're creative, chances are you get this idea, and usually it's like in the shower or at
While you're
night,
going to sleep.
and you're like, that's amazing. You get very easily distracted.
Yes, got to write those down.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. One is to choose a few things to do really, really well.
Yes. The other is to, gosh, I mean, I think for overwhelm, one of the things that I learned to do is journaling. And I know you talked about that you struggle with it a little bit. But anytime I feel overwhelmed, if I can empty that onto a piece of paper, I
Yes.
can really then stand back from it and go, okay, what is a today thing? What's a tomorrow thing? And what's a next month thing? Because usually when I'm in overwhelm, it's because I'm collapsing everything into one big ball. And it's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get any of this done. So let's just crawl in a hole. That really, really helps. And remind me of your question. It was the overwhelm and it was
Just three things, three tips to encourage someone to be more intentional about their time and energy.
yes. Well, I might have two more things, but one more
That's
thing
cool. We'll
is
go with four.
related to energy is when you have all those 100 things you could be doing. Something that's really helped me is learning to tune into my own energy and like, where does my energy want to go? Where does my intuition want to go? What do I feel in alignment with?
Mhm.
Because so many times I would try something that somebody else said was great, but inside I already knew it wasn't a fit. And if you can listen to that sooner, I think you just save yourself a ton of time.
That is so true. I have my 6-year-old daughter will be crazy tired and she refuses to take a nap. And I keep telling her, you need to listen to your body when it will tell you what you need. And so the other day she goes, my body just really needs cookies. I was like, that's not how that works.
Well, maybe it is. My body tells me once a month that I need cookies too.
That's true. It's
Now,
possible.
if it's every day, that might be a different story.
Right? It's so funny. I keep trying to teach her that listening to yourself, that little voice in your head is so important if you know that something isn't good for you, not because of nutritional, just because it doesn't feel right, to listen to that.
Yes. Yes. That's such a great example of you modeling for your daughter, your kids.
Mhm.
It made me think of when my boys were little, I would sometimes say, like, mommy just needs a couple minutes of alone time.
Do that. Yes.
And then they would start to use that even with their friends. They'd say, like, I need some alone time. And we all do. If you can teach them to dialogue with that and use that, so good.
I think it's something that so many moms are afraid to do. Maybe not afraid, they just feel bad. They feel guilty for asking for that alone time. And I used to as well. So I totally feel that. But now
Yeah.
I'm a better mom when I have that time. And there will be times, now granted, my daughter's 6. This wasn't when she was 2, but I can just tell her, mommy needs about 10 minutes right now where I don't have to be answering questions or constantly talking. So can you
Yeah.
give me that? And she'll say, oh, yeah, sure, no problem, mom. And she'll go and play
That's
in the other
right.
room. And we can both come back to answering questions or talking or doing whatever we want to do, playing or schoolwork. And we're both better for it.
That's exactly right. And that's what you have to remember when you feel a little bit guilty. My husband, just the other day, he was like, sometimes he'll come home from work and he's like, I just need like a half hour, an hour to just decompress, and then I'm good. We can connect and talk. I think it's so helpful at any age to be able to say that. And then when you
Absolutely.
are connecting, you're a yes, you're here, you're engaged instead of half being engaged.
You're so much more present. And I'm finding more and more that that's important with my business too. I shared with my listeners, I think it was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I am not in my inbox all day. There's no way I cannot do it. It will run my damn life. I don't
Yes.
respond to emails until about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I
because
love that.
I have to be very deliberate with my time. If I don't step away from email, I can be on email all day long.
That's exactly right. That's such a beautiful thing. Guarding your time. It's so, so important.
Yes. What is your why behind your business? Why do you do the work that you do? Obviously, you love journaling, but what type of impact do you hope to see because of the
Mm,
work that you do?
yeah. So my why came from really getting these tools in my life. When I said I was lived so many years checking the boxes, and then I found myself divorced and sort of in a place I never imagined. And I was introduced to some tools and ideas that, like, up until that point, I felt like I was sort of at the mercy of what was happening in my life.
Mm,
And all of a sudden, these tools and resources sort of opened my eyes that I could actually like take part in creating my life and have influence over how things are going. That was just like this new, brand new idea
yeah.
at the time. And I was just so excited by that. And that moment in my life and sort of that pivot to really learning how to do that and integrating that in my everyday life, in my marriage, in my parenting, in my business, like all of that. My why is to really pay that forward because it made such a huge impact for me. And we're not given tools, we're not taught how to move through these daily life things. And we're not given tools. My mission is really to equip people with tools that this everyday life thing and walking through it can be the most meaningful and creative adventure of your life. And here's a tool set. Go do that. Make it really juicy.
Yes. I know with little kids, we are forever asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then somehow along the way, they get the idea that, well, no, it has to be a certain thing within this certain set of
That's so
parameters.
true.
We tell them dream big and then only as big as we say. And it's really sad to kind of dial that dream back instead of figuring out how to make it work. Now, obviously, my daughter wants to be a mermaid ballerina astronaut. Probably going to have to pick
I
one,
love that. Oh, I thought it was all in one. I'm like, I was
but,
trying to imagine.
but that's
It
what she
is.
wants.
Yeah.
But being in space and being in water are not really at the same time. It's probably not going to happen. So we're probably just going to have to focus on one for now. But
So great.
to look at the dream and figure out how to get there instead of just letting life happen to you. Are you going to be in the driver's seat for your life or be in the passenger seat?
Yes, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's actually a blend of the two because I think it's important to, when I grew up, it was always about like setting those goals and going for the goal and reaching the goal. And I think for myself, what I've had to learn is yes, have the goal, have the dream, have the vision, but also be present and here in the now, almost as a passenger, so that you're taking part really at every turn. Like I was thinking about your daughter and that question that we ask our kids, like, and the thought came, what if we were asking them, like, who do you want to be today? Because if you asked me when I was in third grade, I wanted to be a monkey trainer because I loved animals and I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
monkeys, right? And that was real for me.
Yeah.
But people would laugh at that. And that had an impact on me
Oh,
because why couldn't I just want that and to be that at that time? Like it was going to ever change and evolve naturally. I think it's a blend of being here and now and having a vision. When I had that journaling business for so long, I was so attached to that vision.
mm,
And that had its own consequences, right? There came a time where I had to set down that business idea for the sake of going for this, what I'm doing now. And kind of trusting that because it felt like I birthed a baby with that business. I was so attached to it, but letting that go and really trusting the pieces that needed to come back around, they would.
yeah.
And really having this vision is sort of where I'm headed, but I'm not attached to exactly how it looks.
Mhm.
It's like a beacon, like a pillar out there that helps inform my decisions today,
Mhm.
but I'm not attached that it looks exactly a certain way in the future. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think one of my mentors, James Wedmore, continues to say, he says it all the time, you have to be completely detached from the result.
Mhm.
Whether it's
Yeah.
success or failure, if it's a success, to detach yourself from that, to not get your self worth from that, to not make that part of your identity. And if it's a failure, when you don't make it part of your identity, it means that it didn't work. It doesn't make you a piece of crap.
Right. That's right.
Because it's reality. Like everything's just one giant experiment. We're all just
It
figuring
is.
out as we go.
So true. And maybe that's the other piece of advice, right? Is like, oh, just so much. Like, I just felt you'd be so light around that. And for me, I've had to learn to just lighten up about all of it. It's not so serious.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. And the more ease and fun I can bring into it, the better.
Yeah. And you have a bad day and you shake it off because you know what? You just keep going. That's all we can do. Even when you go through really hard things. I mean, what are you going to do? Just lay down and never get back up again? Never live your life
That's
again?
right.
We
That's
just keep
right.
moving forward.
That's right. And you get to choose how you're going to show up to what's happening, right? Like you said, we can't always control what's happening, but we can always choose who we want to be in the face of what's happening.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love this discussion. Thank you so much for being here today, Carla. Your expertise is so valuable, and I really appreciate your time. For anyone that's listening and they want to learn more about you, where can they find out more about what you offer and connect with you?
Yes, carlareeves.com is the website, Instagram at Carla S. Reeves. And then I have a podcast that is launched called Differently, and you can find that on any of your favorite podcast players.
I'm writing that one down. Fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. And to all of the awesome business owners and listeners that have joined us today, thank you so much for listening. I am so honored that you pressed play, put us in your ears today, whether you're walking the dog, driving the kids to school. If you are someone that wants to help other people and you know someone who can use this information, please forward this episode over to them. I know that Carla and I would both appreciate that. And if you are like, oh my gosh, wow, this content was amazing, Brooke, how can I thank you? I have a way you can thank me. Can you head on over to iTunes and leave a review? You can go to businessstraightup.com/iTunes. I know you hear it over and over again. I know it sounds silly, but in the podcast world, those reviews help us so much. It helps me know what you want to learn more about, how I can better serve you, and it helps us get amazing guests like Carla. So hit pause now, leave a review, and if you screenshot your review before hitting submit, email it to hello@businessstraightup.com. I will send you a free gift. Please, please, please leave those reviews so that we can continue kicking ass with great content every week. Thank you again, Carla.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for everyone listening today, you know I'm not going to let you get away without some homework. What steps are you going to take to be more deliberate and intentional with your time and energy? Let me know in the community at businessstraightup.com/community. Keep moving forward, learning and taking action on all of your biggest goals while enjoying the journey as well, even through the challenges and chaos that has been happening lately. I can't wait to see what you do with your business and how you change the world. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening to Business Straight Up. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Check out the show notes for this and all of the episodes at businessstraightupodcast.com. And I can't wait to talk with you again. Have a great day.